What if I told you the people you admire did not start because they felt ready? They became ready when they started.
What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Grind.
BTG.
If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. And please do not forget to hit that subscribe button so that you do not miss out on any of our future content. Our podcast is for the doers and the dreamers who are ready to take their lessons and turn them into actions. My name is Kay.
I'm Alan.
And I'm Tosin. And today we're going to talk about just start. That's it. Just start. We've got too many people that have got these grand ideas. They've got these grand plans. And I can give you stories upon stories upon stories of folks that have the best plans. However, I still haven't heard about that execution. I have somebody who approached me.
You get approached a lot, my friend.
I think, no, it is true. I think I'm
really
the center of a lot of different
He's in the people
networks.
business.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm a center of a lot of different networks. So this guy comes to me. This one's the guy. He comes to me and says, "Hey, Tosin, I want to start a CPA firm." I said, "Okay." I said, he's like, "Yeah, I've been working here. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. I'm ready." I'm like, have you done anything for small to mid-sized businesses? It's like, nah, I work at this level and, I'm going to get clients. I'm like, okay, I might be the wrong person to mentor you and advise you on that because I'm not too sure on how to get $1 billion client. If you figure it out, let me know because we looking for some. All right, Amazon, shout out at me. All right. But till today, nothing has happened, right? He had these great plans on how he's going to transition from
waiting for that
corporate,
client,
possibly, right? He had this great plan on how he's going to execute, how his skills are transferable. He's making XYZ. So if he only got, even one client at that level, he can double his salary and so on and so forth, right? And we're still waiting for execution. We're still waiting, not execution, right? We're waiting for implementation, right? I want us to talk to those folks that overanalyze, over prepare, and
Speaking my language.
and not even figure out, is it even the right idea? You fall in love with the planning phase. You fall in love with the dream. You fall in love with if I only had 1% of the market, what will I do? If I only had $1 billion, like we always say.
But
I'm ready. I already have a plan for that. Give me the $1 billion yesterday.
But here's the thing, because I know you're coming from the business angle, right? But it could just be anything, really.
True.
Like anything in life, right? You don't have to be. How do I put this?
Entrepreneur.
I'll give an example. Public speaking is something that I've always been intrigued by. I remember I watched a TED Talk and I saw a guy, I can't remember his name. He was standing there and he articulated his words very well.
Yeah.
And I told myself that I want to be like that. I want to be the guy that can stand up in front of a huge crowd and I can articulate myself in a way that inspires people, right? I thought that was really great. And for the longest time, I kept doing all these random things to prep me for starting, but I never did. Until I realized that, you know what? Confidence does not come
by thinking about it.
you don't get confidence when you act. You act, then you build confidence.
Yep.
If you know what I mean. So for example, if I said I want to go up in front of a stage, I can't be confident if I haven't done it yet. The first time it's not going to be the best. I guarantee you that. But if I keep doing it consistently, eventually I'm going to become confident.
Yeah.
So I know, like, I've had people talk to us, people message me like, hey, on your podcast, are you guys reading a script? Or like, are you speaking from the top of your head? And I try to get people to understand that we had a couple of sessions, with like 2-3 episodes that we never even released because we were just practicing.
That's right.
But
I
guess
think
what?
It was more than 2.
Even if people go back to our very, very first episode,
garbage.
It is so much different.
No, just kidding.
From how it is now.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because we got like this overnight.
Right.
It was because eventually we became confident. Sometimes we have guests come here and they'll look at us. They were like, wow, you guys are just talking like.
Yeah.
But it's the consistency. The reps.
So that brings me to what I was going to say. I have a friend of mine who he texts me all the time and he's one of my close friends. And if starting had an image in the dictionary, it would be his face would be there. Because before you finish the word start, he's at the finish line. Mm-hmm. And he'll tell you, yeah, I'm like, you already did it? He's like, yes. I'm like, well, how'd he go? He's like, oh, I messed it up. But I know what to do now. Now he can run the race backwards because he knows where all the bumps are. You know what I mean? So we always say, just start, man. Just start. You could, like Mike Tyson always said, the quote, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. You don't know where the punch is going to come till you get in there. You got to get in the ring. That first punch, you could imagine what you're going to do to somebody in a ring or whatever, or it's going to hurt.
I'm going to dodge it.
Or I don't want to get punched. Who knows? You may be as great as you think you are and actually be that good, or you may get knocked out, or that punch may not hurt as much as you thought it is. But you're never going to know until you get in the ring. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of reps. Reps matter. I had another friend who, if he's watching, just took an implant course. I've been trying to do implants forever. He's like, I don't really want to do it. I want to do it. I don't want to. So he finally took an implant course, placed one implant. He was like, I got it now. I got it. I got the feel of it. I was like, got the feel of what? He's like, I could place implants now, dental implants. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, what you can do is you can place implants that simulate the exact same situation in the mouth that you did on that case. But to say you can place implants after one implant, you can only place one type of situation right now. Maybe you could place a few outside, but you'll never know till you get the reps. Yeah. I don't want you to have false confidence or tear it down. But the key to beginning anything new is to, once you get there, know that you're good at that. Until you had enough reps, you can't assume you're good at everything. The analogy I give people is you remember in school when you would be in a math class or whatever, and the teacher would do everything. You're like, I got this. Then you go home and do the homework. He's like, I don't got it. None of this was like that stuff you were showing us in the class. Like,
it was homework easier in class.
I only did 2 out of 100. Like, and that's what it's like, right? They showed you the 2 perfect examples because at most of those courses and most of those new things, they show you perfect things. This goes for businesses too. You watch the video, you take a course on how to do X, Y, and Z. They show you ideally how to do it. But when you get the reps, you're like, bro, this is what? This isn't what I thought it was. I thought it was easier than this. And that's kind of what you were trying to tell him. Like, you've gotten the reps at a large firm where they've done everything for you. HR got the client for you. You just think because you're good at the numbers and you're good at doing the CPA, but you're not good at business, you know? Then you get out there, that's hard. And so I think most people also are scared because with anything that's hard, once you start, you know that you can't, it's on me now. I can't quit. It's real. I got real bills now.
I was going to say that one of the advice that I give all my clients, I tell them, I said, confidence is not the price of entry. It's the reward for starting. So in other words, you're not going to be confident at the beginning. But guess what? When you start and you continue to get your reps in, the reward is going to be the confidence.
Boy, the reps matter.
So a lot of times what I try and do is to battle the fear of starting, right? Because to me, when people talk to me, they have all these great plans and all that stuff. I can feel the underlying fear.
Yeah.
Right. You've over prepared for this thing.
Right.
Why? Are you scared that it's not gonna go one way or the other? Or you just have to make sure that you're ready for all possibilities. But guess what? Like we just said, you prepare for all of those possibilities. Something else happens. You can prepare for, okay, you know what? I'm about to open up a restaurant. I've sourced my vendors. I have 3 different vendors for all this and all that. And day one, you open, after you've hired everybody, nobody shows up. You weren't prepared to run the whole restaurant yourself.
I think for me, for starting, like you said, not to cut you off, I think the biggest thing is that I've learned from a friend of mine. He said, why not?
Yeah.
Why not you?
Yeah.
And what's the worst that can happen? Okay, let's say it happened. Then what? If you can answer that question, I think you should do it, to be honest.
Oh, the answer is easy. If you fail, that failure is the tuition that you paid for your future success.
Yeah,
that's right.
If you're able to weather that storm and the failure, the fear that you have goes away when you run your mind through the situation. Like the example I gave you about my friend and the ad budget and him wanting to market to a different region. And I was like, okay, let's just break it down to numbers. You just have to hit this number for it to make sense take away the fear. After that, he's like, I'm doing it tomorrow. Because if you don't face the fear of what is the worst thing that can happen, if you can face that fear and be okay with it, then start. If you face it and you're like, I can't do that, then don't do it. You're right to not start. Be scared.
Well, let me ask this. Have you guys ever, because I think I want to give our audience some examples here. Have you guys ever been in a situation, whether professionally or personally, where, you wanted to do something or start something, but you didn't feel like you were ready, so you just kept procrastinating? Oh, yeah. Like, what was that thing, and how did you guys end up overcoming?
You want to go first? You can go first. 'Cause I cut you off early, so you need to...
You cut me off at fear or something like that.
Sorry, my friend.
Let's get personal. I've already told this story before in some episode, in the past. You guys can probably find it. But let's talk about when I met my wife, right?
The famous story.
The famous
How
story.
I met your mother.
I could have missed out on a whole lot.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fear in stepping up and asking her for a number. And, there's all these different things I was playing in my head. What if I get rejected? What if I don't know the right words to say? What if I? So I had that block.
So it was what if I? It wasn't things got to be perfect. It was what if I mess up?
On my end. Right. Because they're both the same. I see truth as it's not one thing or the other, right? Whether you over prepare or you scare yourself to preparing or to launching, it's still the same. Okay. It's still the same underlying issue, right? Which is fear in the end.
Yeah, well, the underlying issue is fear.
I have a question. Up to that moment, do you think that was one of the scariest things you've done? Because things that may be scary for you may not be scary for me, and vice versa. Things may be scary for me,
it can
be scary.
It can,
It can.
I don't think it's the scariest thing I've done, because we did some crazy stuff.
He probably just had anxiety, but I don't think it's.
But it could be in my
not
nature,
scary,
right?
Sorry, you're anxious.
I wasn't. I still don't like talking to too many people, right? Till today, right?
That's why he needs me.
So it's just one of those things that I'd rather be a fly on the wall, enjoy the environment, people watch type of thing, rather than going out there and actually talking to a stranger type of person, right? Some people are more confident.
You definitely couldn't do network marketing.
No, bro. I know my strengths.
I think his strength is different.
So going back to my example, I was looking at it like, hey, if now looking back, right? Thankfully, thank God, she had, the boldness to like make sure we connected and make sure that, this thing happened. But looking back at it, it's like, what could have happened?
Yeah.
Now that I'm through it and looking back,
It's like, what would you
it's
scared
like,
of?
well, yeah.
The worst you could have said
What,
is
what,
no.
what could I have been
But if
scared
you
of?
run it back, what would you do knowing what you know now?
I knew she liked me.
Oh, but yeah, you know that now. So
That-
that's different.
Well,
No, even back then,
no,
he
because
knew.
you vibed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you know there's something there. So like use that. Use whatever little. So that's what I'm trying to say here. Use whatever little confidence, whatever it might be, a tiny dust speck of hope, of confidence, of vibing or whatever it is.
Right.
Use that, and then just do it. And then why not? Most times it's never like whenever we're jumping into something that we're procrastinating on and so on, it's not like there isn't a piece of confidence or something we can hold on to, right? It might not be that big ledge, it might not be a big footing, but there's something there that you can just use to propel yourself forward. And looking backwards, whether you fail or not, you're still gonna look at it and be like,
So on the
why
fear
not?
part, I do think it is a evolutionary warning. There's something is not meshing with your being. That's a warning sign. I don't think you should ignore it still. I think you should lean into it and figure out why you feel that way first.
Wait.
Wait, let me finish. And then you can dismantle it. Because if you don't kind of heed that warning, you're going to kick yourself if you ignore it and whatever it is that you were scared of happens. You have to tear down your own anxieties and address that issue.
But that's what we're talking about right now, that fear sometimes paralyzes people from starting at all.
But you need to look at that fear, like why, kind of back what I was saying, why is this daunting to me? Like, what is the real underlying reason why? Like, I'll give you an example. I was trying to do, when I was trying to do some marketing and also get some new staff a long time ago
For your business.
for my business. And, I had to replace an office manager. I had to change some office dynamics. And I was putting on for like 3 months. And, anyone who's read much about business, you can't have a bad marketing and bad ecosystem of staff, like cohesiveness, roles, whatever, for 3 months. It's gonna surface. And then I had to sit down and tell myself, why don't I want to do this? Because no one likes hiring. It's tedious. You got to go recruit people, all this. You might have
Retrain them, all that
So I
stuff.
spoke to a friend who's had a little bit more offices than I did, and he said, "Hey, man, you're rightly so. You're scared because it takes a while to find the right people, train them. You're probably 6 months out." He said, "Now everyone might not use this, but at the time it worked for me." He said, "What I do is you're right to feel this way, and what is the issue? You don't want to wait to hire one person just to fire them or whatever. Go through the cycle." Solution for that was just hire 2 to 3 people at a time. And there's no delay because you spend the same amount of money. It's just all at once, right? And you're cutting the cost over the long term because there's not that lag period of 90 days or whatever.
That's not a bad
So
idea.
he was like, it's basically a starting quarterback job. Like the best gets it, the rest, secondary backup, the third doesn't work. That's the nature of life. And that kind of was something that helped me. Oh, I can do this. And with the marketing aspect, I had a couple of other marketing companies that I was using, and I was like, they're not doing a good job. I wanted for a long time to learn how to do marketing and stuff, but it's so tedious. But I realized the reason I didn't want to do it is because I didn't want to stay on the computer for hours at a time. So what I did is I just penciled in at a time, like every day, that amount of time. It's like I'm at class. And I literally clocked in and clocked out. I was like, timer, let's go. And it made it easier because I was like, even if I didn't do anything, kind of like just get to the gym. Even if you got to sit to the parking lot, just go. So I just set up my computer. I had an excuse that if you have a laptop, it's annoying to bring it out, plug it up, do whatever. So I made a point to set up a whole station for it already logged in what I needed to learn how to do, set up to where I just go, punch in, go. I had no excuse. I just removed all of my excuses for me to help me start more, because I'm one of those just think and procrastinate until I need to do it if it really stresses me out. So I set myself up for success by removing the barriers that I didn't want to do. Like anything that would be an excuse, I kind of removed it out the way.
So you're go ahead, Kay.
So we're telling people to stop waiting to feel ready.
Yes.
I kind of didn't like the example that Tosin gave because he didn't overcome it.
Yeah.
His wife overcame that fear for him, right?
But what I'm saying, I'm looking back.
Of course, hindsight.
You know,
right?
hindsight
is always 20/20.
Yeah.
With the example that you gave, it sounds like what you're saying is, take the feeling out.
Yeah.
Stop waiting till you feel ready. Define what good enough is and work towards that good enough. And that good enough can be an MVP that makes you feel confident to start.
Yes.
Because if you don't, like if I'm trying to launch something,
it's hard.
right? And I say, you know what? I just need 10 grand. If I get that 10 grand, I'm going to start. But you know what some people do? They get 10 grand like, but you know what? Maybe I need 20 because then I got to, no. Just define it from the beginning. What is that minimum viable product or minimum whatever that you need to get started? And that minimum thing that I'm talking about is a little ounce of confidence that you talk about. That if I can get this little ounce of confidence, that tells me that I'm ready to get started. Even if it's just, you know what? I want to be a public speaker. Okay. After one class, I'm going to go find a gig where I start.
Force yourself.
Even if it's talking to the Sunday school class.
Exactly. That's what I did.
You're taking the excuse out of the situation.
I took advantage of a public speaking course. I took one course. No, it wasn't Toastmaster. It was a course that was provided by one of my employer.
Oh, nice.
I took the course. It was a physical class. I took the course.
Those are nice.
And they forced us to come and speak in front of a whole class to give us a topic, right? And they told us that, hey, 70% of what you're saying is body language.
Yes.
The rest is your tone and a little bit is your words.
Yeah.
Right? So I got up there and I was doing this. I was doing all this. And I was like going up, going down. And people were so engaged because they're like, oh man, whatever
You're
he's
animated.
saying.
You were animated.
I was animated.
Yeah.
So after doing that, I was like, oh.
I got something here.
But then guess what? I went 6 months and I didn't do it. And then when it was time for me to go speak,
you're flat.
I just froze.
Yeah.
So you know what I did? I went into Sunday school and the student department in my church, and I said, "Can I join the communications team so that I can get the opportunity to get on stage and I speak constantly?" First time, everybody was like, "I don't understand his accent," because I got this thick Baltimore accent. But eventually, I kept getting confident. And then by the time you know it, it was like, poosh. It was nothing to me anymore.
Yeah.
Even though it's nothing till today, I still feel butterflies when I'm about to go on.
Everybody does.
But
even Beyonce said so. All right.
But after 2 minutes of talking, it's a wrap.
I mean, not everybody's like you. You just show up and drop it.
No. I think the issue is I truly don't care. I truly
but everybody's not like you. People actually care.
No, I remember a time when I used to get butterflies, but one time I just remember nobody's gonna remember this tomorrow. If I
they will.
They will. They will.
Unless somebody brings it up. It's not like
are you saying that you're not memorable? Is that what you're saying?
I just feel like we're all human. We all breathe. Everybody got flaws. I don't care enough. When I say I don't care enough about what I might do wrong or fumble, because I'm the type of person I will make fun of me.
You know how I boost my confidence? I ask myself, is this going to affect my paycheck? Am I still going to be able to pay my bills? If the two answers are not involved, whatever.
I think the biggest thing for me in public speaking is not spacing out and start forgetting that you guys are there and spacing out, being like,
and just talking to yourself
ESPN or something digress. Sometimes that happens. You start on this topic and you just start talking about ESPN when you're supposed to be talking about church.
So before we round up, can you guys just give one practical advice for somebody who's out there, whether it's personal or professional or business, whatever it is? Like, what is that practical advice that you can give them to make sure that if they're suffering from feeling the need to feel ready rather than just starting?
Just call me. It's $9.99 a month.
Just call you?
Just call me.
What the heck?
For tips. No, I'm just kidding. I think the biggest thing I would say is if you feel like you're not ready, you need to evaluate why. Like, why do you feel like that? What is it that you need to have? Is it just a feeling of perfection? And that's not going to happen. If it's you're worried about the worst, what is a worst case scenario? If you can break that down and define that and then come up with a solution to that, you have to tell yourself, like he said, the minimum viable product. If you can break down like, this is what's keeping me here. If I get here, then I'll do it. Then you have to be true to that.
Yeah.
Solve that issue and then do it. If you can do that, then I think it'll be easier to start. Second thing I would say is put things in place so you don't have to think about what you're doing when you start. By that, I mean, like for me, I set up my station, I set up the computer, I set it up on a website. Like I didn't have anything to do. It was saved, all the passwords. I just went, boop. So it wasn't like, I got to go wipe up my laptop. I got to log it. And there's nothing like that. So make it easy for you to start. And I think the last thing is that you just need a little bit of confidence, like Tosin said, and then just go. You just got to go.
You said everything. I'm like, wait. He just brought my point number one, my number two, number three.
Well, do you have anything to add to that number 3?
Oh man, no, not really, because we talked about fear already. Just making sure that the fear doesn't overwhelm you in whatever you're about to do. Right? What's the worst that's really gonna happen?
Exactly.
Unless it's
punch in the mouth once or twice.
Well, someone was showing me this social media video. Right? It was this lady that. Never mind. Maybe cut that part out. But if the worst thing that could happen is far away from death, impalement, some kind of harm, right?
Or even like homelessness.
Oh, homelessness or whatever, right?
Did you die though?
It can't be that bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe what you need to do is evaluate, is this worth it?
Yeah.
Right. Because maybe your idea, you keep needing to flesh it out because you don't see a differentiation. Right. What am I gonna do even if it's public speaking that I'm trying to do? What makes my public speaking a little bit different than everybody else that's public speaking so that I can get those opportunities to have a public speaking gig, right? If it's a business, maybe you keep tweaking it and redoing it and going back to the drawing board because you're like, if I started this business, maybe I wouldn't be able to do this. Like, maybe it's not a valid idea or a valuable idea.
The longer you take, the more new things happen that can
you go in the rabbit hole.
Or now compete with your business. Now you got to keep tweaking that perfect idea. Well, that's why you just got to start.
Well, that's where I'm going. If there's no good entry point, that means you probably haven't figured out the business itself. So maybe you don't need to start. But that's where advisors come in place.
That's what I was going to ask.
That's where mentors, people that are ahead of you. Those are where people that are ahead of you, that have done it, that have that experience, can see, okay, you know what? I see where you're going. This is probably not good enough yet. Stay in the drawing board phase. Or, oh man, you passed. You should have started a while ago. Let's go ahead and start with whatever you have now.
Definitely. Definitely, you can get mentors or advisors that will hold you accountable. Or you can send email to support at gobeyondthegrind.com and we can hold you accountable.
That's right.
There's a lot of things, a lot of options. You just have to make that decision. Round us up, Alan.
All right. So we pretty much talked today about fear, about starting, about confidence to start. And, it's We pretty much want you to gain confidence. You can't gain the confidence to start if you don't actually analyze what it is you need to, what it is that's holding you back.
That's for sure.
So you can kind of like beat that, kind of counter that. We've given this analogy a lot of times as far as you can have the best plan. Everybody's got a good plan until they get punched in the mouth, you know? But to take a punch, you got to go get you an advisor, go get you a trainer, go get you a boxing trainer.
That's right.
So I don't know if y'all follow that, but I hope you guys learned a lot and this was useful to you.
Yes.
I know there's that very deep fear and anxiety everybody has, and that's why we keep procrastinating. You can defeat it. You can defeat it. We all believe in you. And if you have any questions, where can they find us?
Support at gobeyondthegrind.com.
Yes,
for sure.
And, be sure to like, follow, subscribe to us at Go Beyond the Grind.
Yes. Until next time.
Peace.
To make strategic decisions and take calculated risks. We'll also talk about future-proofing your business so you can build a lasting legacy and true freedom. This isn't a one-sided conversation. We're all on this journey together to build a life and a business that works for you, so you don't miss any of our upcoming